Sam Fisher was the fastest qualifying, takes pole position for the first day final. Russell Endine headed his qualifying group, so he starts in second. Liam Hitchin and Shane O'Neill on row 2. Stephen Crutchley and Peter Kay start on row 3. Matt Ogle and Daniel French are an excellent 7th and 8th. Ross Lester and Rob Nash round out the top 10, which with the 4 qualifiers is on a grid of 24. If you're wondering about championship leader Barul Smith, he has work to do, as for once he can only manage to qualify in 18th place. Well, I know this is one of the finals you've all tuned in to watch. Union flag is at the ready. Sam Fisher controls the pace, and it's picking up as they come to the start line, and we're racing at Clay Pigeon in the heavyweight A final. Dan French trying to find a way through. Plenty of cameras in this one. We're on board with Ross Lester through Billy's Blind. That's French on our left. Look at the cavalry charge down to turn 2. Sweeping in, Matt Ogle on the inside, kart 38 making ground. We're on board with Peter Kay, squeezed into Daniel French. Somebody's gone around, and it's looking fairly brutal at the beginning of this final, but it's Russell Endine leading from Sam Fisher, Stephen Crutchley, Liam Hitchin. Can't see Anwar Barul Smith there. There he is. He's trying to find a way past Peter Kay, and looking up the road at Russell Endine. That's why he's in a hurry. Paul Williams inside of Peter Jankowski. Has he got it done? We'll have to wait for that one. No, he has an overstart finish. Oh, Josh Walsh runs wide, and Peter Kay's trying to get down the inside. And here they come uphill into Billy's Blind, and Crutchley's going for 3rd place over the inside curb. Lovely move from Stephen Crutchley. And we're back on board with Dan French. He's got Tim Williams going down the inside, and he's through. Paul Williams coming through in about 11th place. Trainer carts behind him. They're being dropped by Rob Nash, who runs in 9th. Oh, and there's more battles going on down in the hairpin. Where to look next? Paul Williams holding off Ollie Nitch-Smith. Coming round to finish another lap. Peter Jankowski trying to get back on terms. Lenny Woods dropped it on his own on the exit of the S's. Well, that's badly placed. Expect to see yellow flags out to stop racing. Paul Williams sweeping through with the pack on his tail, and we're back on board with Peter Kay momentarily. Anwar Barul Smith throws it down the inside. I saw a yellow flag there, the touching wheels, hands in the air. It'll go down a single file. Where's Lenny Wood? Oh, there he is in the middle of the track. Oh, and a heavy shot from Williams. Oh, and look at that, Oliver Hall's out of his car, and everything's come to a sudden stop. The red flag is out. Well, remarkably, Lenny Wood has got up and walked away without a scratch. He's a little bit shaken up, and he'll be joined on the sidelines by Anwar Barul Smith and Tim Williams, who hit him, and Oliver Hall, who had an incident of his own with the barrier. Russell Endine takes the lead in a single file restart for the restart of final 1 at Clay Pigeon. He's got the whole shot, as you'd expect. On board here with Ross Lester. He's currently running as the top super heavyweight in 6th place, sweeping through Billy's Blind, and once again it's a bit of a cavalry charge down to turn 2. Oh, Josh O'Hagan leaning in and on Ross Lester. Rob Nash on his bumper, and through comes Shane O'Neill as well. Pull a couple of corners for Ross Lester. Endine pulling clear of Sam Fisher, Stephen Crutchley, Liam Hitchin. Paul Williams now down the inside of Lester, and he's got Peter Kay on his bumper, who's on the wrong side. Paul Williams comes straight by him in the horseshoe, pushing him out wide, running him out wide. Whoa, borderline fair there from Williams, and Lester quite rightly is doing his nut with Paul Williams, who's now leaning on Peter Kay, and he's put him in the tyres. Paul Williams very keen to hang on to just 9th place. 3 wide through Billy's Blind behind Ross Lester, who's pretty much shaking his fist at Paul Williams. Dan French gets moved out the way by David Vaughton, who's got John Foulds on his bumper down at the hairpin. Josh O'Hagan sticks his nose in on Liam Hitchin and Matt Ogle, and Hitchin's going to have the inside for the horseshoe now as he's got Ogle on his bumper. In fact, he's got Rob Nash on his bumper. 3 wide in the last corner, there's a bit of a squeeze. Hitchin stays ahead in 4th place. O'Hagan in 5th. Rob Nash in 6th. Matt Ogle 7th. Shane O'Neill in 8th. And then you're back to Paul the Chopper Williams coming through in 9th. Hitchin under pressure. O'Hagan up the inside. Oh, it's clumsy, but it's effective. Nash goes through, Ogle goes through as well. Be interesting to see if O'Hagan's got a penalty for that one. Ross Lester is busy trying to close down on Paul Williams, who's behind Shane O'Neill at the hairpin. Matt Ogle's got ahead of Liam Hitchin inside at the horseshoe. Shane O'Neill now moves up onto the bumper of Liam. And Paul Williams in the blue lid, kart 15. Ross Lester's caught up with him. And there was a driver standards flag being shown at start-finish. I wonder who that was for. You could pick any number out of this final, that's for sure. It's not been a shining example of Club 100 racing. Whoa, Ross Lester from so far back. He wanted to get Paul Williams. It was clear he was desperate to do it. And he succeeded in taking out Shane O'Neill. Well, that'll be a penalty for Leicester. So coming through to start lap 9, your race leader is Russell Endine. He's got a second on Sam Fisher. We're watching Oliver Nitch-Smith trying to hold off Stuart Osborne in a battle for 11th place. There's Endine, Fisher, Crutchley in third. Gap then to O'Hagan, who might have a penalty of his own. Ahead of Nash, Ogle, Hitchin, Williams, up to 8th now. Leicester running in 9th, ahead of Josh Walsh in 10th. Peter Jankowski ahead of Stuart Osborne and David Vorton. John Folds out of the B final. Kart 71 looking down the inside of Faoud Saeed. I think he's picked up a spot there. Jankowski holding off Stuart Osborne, goes in deep, and a chance for Osborne to run round the outside of him through the last corner. And for a change, there isn't a penalty board or a warning board out at start finish. Roger Mullen's got ahead of Daniel French, so that's 17th place for Roger. French struggling in this restart. Oh, and John Folds moves Peter Jankowski out of the way. I'll be surprised if that hasn't got a penalty if it's been seen. Back on board with French, closing in on Jankowski. Roger Mullen looking for a way by. We're in the closing stages now. Russell Endine's lead is still half a second on Sam Fisher. Stephen Crutchley is settling into third, and there's another penalty. I'm guessing that was for Folds. Dan French looking for a way past Jankowski. He's got it done. There's your race leader, Russell Endine. And it's going to be big points as Anwar Barul Smith is sat on the sidelines. Josh Walsh under pressure from Ollie Nitch-Smith, but he's caught the inside curb and lost a kart length. So coming through onto the penultimate lap now, Russell Endine leading out Sam Fisher. Stephen Crutchley looking comfortable in third, Josh Hagan in fourth. There's Crutchley, gap then to O'Hagan. Nash not in range. Next man up is Matt Ogle, Liam Hitchin, Paul Williams, Ross Lester, and Josh Walsh rounds out the top 10. But for how long, as Ollie Nitch-Smith loses it trying to find a way up the inside. And Ross Lester has caught up with Paul Williams again. Now, is there any more payback Ross Lester's got for Paul Williams? We don't condone this sort of thing, you know. The final lap board is out for the race leader. Russell Endine, Sam Fisher. Has Fisher got anything left for Endine? This gap has been fairly static for most of this final, certainly after the restart. Nash comes through, Ogle, Hitchin, Williams. Williams has pulled out a couple of kart lengths on Leicester. This looks pretty well settled for the top 10. Faoud Saeed trying to find a way past David Vorton. And that will be for about 13th place. Good run for Saeed. But your race winner as Fisher closes in, but it's going to be too little too late. Russell Endine wins a bad-tempered heavyweight A final from Sam Fisher and Stephen Crutchley.
And in third place was Stephen Crutchley. So we come to his second place today. He started on pole, but he's been picked here at the last. Second place today, good drive, Sam Fisher. To today's winner of Final 1. He's a familiar name down the front, down the sharp end. He started on the front row, on the outside of the front row, but obviously taking the win here, it was Russell Engdon.
I'm sure after the fireworks of Final 1 you'll be both amazed and relieved to know that Lenny Wood is not only okay but on the grid for Final 2 with barely a scratch. Oliver Hall makes it as well. This is heavies after all and they make them tough. Fastest laps from Final 1 afford Sam Fisher another opportunity to try and win from pole position. Josh O'Hagan joins him on the front row. Stephen Crutchley and Final 1 winner Russell Endine start on row 2, Peter Kay and Rob Nash on row 3. Ross Lester, Oliver Nitch-Smith, Stuart Osborne and Paul Williams round out the top 10, and not making that restart means that Anwar Barul-Smith has no opportunity to set a good lap time and starts only 21st, so Russell Endine has a chance to make another major dent in his championship lead. Well, the heavies have had quite a ticking off from Club 100 MD John Vigo, and here we go then, the Union flag and we're racing. Sam Fisher, can he get that whole shot into turn 1? I think he's got it. On board with Ross Lester. That's Peter Kay with the red lid ahead of us. In the black is Rob Nash. Everybody's got their fingers crossed, running down into turn 2. Will everybody make it through cleanly? There's contact between Endine and Josh O'Hagan, and somehow Rob Nash is spat out the side. Well, I'm surprised we've only lost 1 or 2. Down at the hairpin, look at the lead that Sam Fisher's got. Josh O'Hagan's got back ahead of Russell Endine. Lenny Wood trying to throw one down the inside of Josh Walsh, and this one's been called off. Still not happy with the driving standards in the heavyweight class. So here we go, we're going to try this one again. Sam Fisher, they brought up very slowly to the start line. That's probably deliberate. Union flag is flying. Who's going to get that whole shot? It's got to be Sam Fisher. Josh O'Hagan trying to go round the outside. Can't get it done. He's got Russell Endine on his inside, as well as Stephen Crutchley, and Endine's through to second and looking for the lead going down to turn 2. He's up the inside and he's through. O'Hagan comes through as well. He's run out wide and a chance for Josh O'Hagan to take the lead in the S's, and he's there. Josh O'Hagan out front in the heavyweight final. Charged down to the hairpin. It's been a clean start, surprisingly. No one's been touched by the mantle just yet, and it's O'Hagan ahead of Fisher now, ahead of Russell Endine. Sweeping into the horseshoe. John Folds running, I think that's Liam Hitchin out wide. Lenny Wood coming through ahead of Faoud Saeed. So he's made progress off the start. And he nearly ran out of road there over start finish, but it's O'Hagan, Fisher, Endine, Crutchley. Coming through in 5th place, it's Peter Kay. And we've got 5 away at the front here. They've dropped Rob Nash just a little bit. Stephen Crutchley through to 3rd. Russell Endine struggling here at the beginning of this second A final. On board as Crutchley goes narrow and Endine's run out wide. Caught in a bad position there. Crutchley didn't know he was there. He was going for the racing line into the corner. On board with Ross Lester. He's got ahead of Endine and is on the bumper of Stephen Crutchley, who's lost out to Rob Nash in the fallout of that incident with Russell Endine. Out of turn 1 onto lap 3. It's now a 17 lap final and Josh O'Hagan leads Sam Fisher and Peter Kay. Yellow flag being waved, of course there's somebody off. Into the S's, it's Oliver Hall restarting. Stephen Crutchley trying to sneak one up the inside of Rob Nash into the S's, and it's done nothing for Ross Lester. In fact, I wonder if Ross has got a problem. He's let Endine and Ollie Nitch-Smith go through with Paul Williams, and I'm sure he didn't want to let Paul Williams through. Yes, he's got some kind of problem. Seems to have power, but not a great deal of it. Rob Nash trying to hold off Paul Williams and Russell Endine. Nash making some great progress, and Paul Williams has been so aggressive in heavyweights. It's almost like a Paul Williams I don't even know. Sweeping round Billy's blind. He's losing out though to Ollie Nitch-Smith, and Russell Endine's got back past Rob Nash in the fight in the top 3 or 4. This is the battle for the bottom of the top 5. And look at that, Peter Kay goes down the inside of Sam Fisher for second. Out of the hairpin, it's difficult to keep track of what battle we're watching. There's so much going on. We're coming round to finish lap 4. and it's Josh O'Hagan leading by 1.1 seconds ahead of Peter Kay. He's got Sam Fisher on his bumper. Stephen Crutchley's dropped to second off third place. Anwar Barul Smith making progress. He's just picked up 12th place. Remember, he started in 21st. He's got to limit the damage that Russell Endine can make. Now that Endine's got his race face back on and is starting to make progress towards the lead. Down at the hairpin, Crutchley now beginning to come under pressure from Russell Endine in the fight for 4th place. Lenny Wood once again trying to find a way past Josh Walsh. Can't get it done. Lenny Wood up to 16th at the moment. Good progress from the back of the grid. Showing no ill effects or lack of confidence as usual. Barul Smith looking down the inside of Liam Hitchin. Has he got it done? Yes, he has. No prisoners taken there. Sam Fisher trying to respond to Peter Kay. Can't get on his bumper though. Stephen Crutchley might come back to him. Oh, down the inside, lovely move from Ollie Smith there on Stuart Osborne to pick up 7th place. Down at the hairpin, who's going to pop out and throw one up the inside? Well, strangely enough, nobody. So coming round to finish lap 6, and Josh O'Hagan's lead now is a second on Peter Kay. Russell Endine putting the hammer down though. He's the fastest man on the circuit by the best part of 1/10 of a second. Stuart Osborne trying to close on Ollie Smith to get that position back. Smith in 7th, trying to close down on Rob Nash. Anwar Barul Smith has caught up with Paul Williams. That might prove a tough nut to crack for Anwar, especially as Liam Hitchens trying to put a move on him as well. Shane O'Neill down the inside, and Williams is taken out with Hitchin. And I think that one was probably down to Shane O'Neill. But it's like handing out speeding tickets at the Indy 500 for penalties if they've been seen in heavyweights today. But it's Josh Walsh leading out. Peter Kay, Russell Endine is closing in on Stephen Crutchley, and Sam Fisher's under pressure from Crutchley, and that's letting Endine through up the inside of turn 2 and into the S's. So Endine making progress now. Now comes the battle for 6th place, led by Nitch Smith, Nash, Foles, Osborne, and Anwar Barul Smith is into the top 10 for the first time. And now's another battle comes through. This is the battle for 16th place, headed now by Tim Williams, Peter Mills, David Vorton, Faid Said going down the inside of Roger Mullen, Keith Mizzen in the group as well with Dan French. And we're on to lap 9, so we're nearly up to half distance, and Peter Kay is looking for the lead here. He's run down Josh Walsh's lead, and he's on his bumper into turn 2, trying to close in up to the S's. Got to nail that S. Hooking the curbs. Bit untidy from Josh Walsh. Long way back for Peter Kay to throw one in for the lead. He's going to give it a corner or two, but Russell Endine's through on Sam Fisher and taking no prisoners. He's into the top 3. Peter Kay better get on with this one, because I fear Russell Endine's going to run him down fairly quickly. So it's Walsh, Kay, gap then to Endine, Fisher, Crutchley, gap then to Nitch Smith, who's pulled clear. And look at this, Anwar Barul Smith's up the inside of Rob Nash, and that's going to be for 7th place. And Anwar is on a mission. Nash going round the outside to try and get the spot back. Can he get it done? Yes, he can. But will he go in too deep and give Anwar a run into the S's? I think he's done it. Barul Smith is through. Stuart Osborne is holding off John Fold, and Peter Kay is pressing hard for the lead, but he hasn't got it done. And where's Russell? He's closing in. Walsh runs out wide. They're slowing down and letting Russell Endine in. On to lap 11, into turn 1. Noticeable lift there by Peter Kay. He's lost a little bit of ground on Josh O'Hagan. The slipstream will bring him back to him, but Russell Endine's in his slipstream now and looking for a way by. Into turn 2. Does Peter know that he's there? Hooking the curbs. Perfect line through the S's. Over the hump and then on the brakes. And here comes Russell Endine from a long way back. He goes through. He's going to run out wide, but he's going to have the inside for the horseshoe. And Peter Kay's down to 3rd. And if he doesn't strike quickly, I don't think he's going to get another look in. Further back, the battle for 16th goes on. Tim Williams under pressure from Peter Mills. Oh, and they both ended up in the tyre barriers. Well, that's the end of their final. So the top 3 running together O'Hagan under pressure now from Russell Endine, and with respects to Peter Kay, Josh O'Hagan's going to find this one a tougher proposition to hold off. Crutchley beginning to get dropped by Sam Fisher. Yellow flags out for the recovering Peter Mills and Tim Williams, still coming back from the tyre barriers. And now Russell Endine's close to putting, he had to think about a move into the horseshoe there and thought better of it. And Peter Kay's beginning to get dropped. He's got to stay in that slipstream. Josh O'Hagan and Russell Endine will be making a big hole in the air, and Peter Kay's got to get in it, because Russell Endine's going to go round the outside of Josh O'Hagan into turn 2. Classic Clay Pigeon. Now can he hold his curve? Yes he can. He ascribes the perfect line into the S's, and Josh O'Hagan needs to get a good exit from the S's, which he hasn't got. He's not close enough down at the hairpin. He runs out wide. He's looking a bit sloppy, and Peter Kay punishes him for it. So Peter Kay into second. Sam Fisher now looking for third. So Josh O'Hagan's got to pull himself together, tidy up his driving, and stay in the slipstream of Peter Kay. And he's losing more ground. It's another half car length off the corner. And Sam Fisher's lining him up for turn 2. Not close enough. Josh went narrow. Oliver Hall is caught up with Keith Mizzen. Oh, we saw the start of that one. I hope nobody's in the tyre barriers. Blue flags are out for Paul Williams. He's been off, of course. O'Hagan runs wide again, and he's begging for Sam Fisher to go through, and he's done it. O'Hagan trying to come back at him. Fisher's canny enough, gives himself a little bit of room, and Stephen Crutchley will let Fisher get away. Oh, side by side, and Crutchley's on the grass, trying to find a way past Josh O'Hagan. Well, it was an optimistic place to pass, but Josh O'Hagan was having none of it. Peter Kay now running round the outside of Paul Williams to put him a lap down. Russell Endine's gone. We're in the closing stages now, and I think he's heading for back-to-back wins. Crutchley and O'Hagan side by side, and Crutchley is through this time. Anwar Barrul-Smith has caught up with and passed Oliver Nitch-Smith for 6th place. He's minimised the damage, but that's all he's going to be able to do now. I'm afraid 5th place Stephen Crutchley is just too far up the road. So coming round then, they're on to the penultimate lap, and Stuart Osborne is trying to hold off John Foulds for 9th place. He's managed to do it, and Shane O'Neill is looking for a way by. Shane running in 11th. Much better showing than his first final, although it's been a quiet one. I'm sure he would have hoped to have got away with the main group. David Vaughton off the track on the exit of the S's. And everybody takes a sharp intake of breath and hopes that people obey the flags this time. The final lap board is being made ready for Russell Endine. His lead is 1.9 seconds on Peter Kay. It goes out, Endine goes through. Kay, Fisher under pressure from Crutchley. Osborne still holding off John Foulds as he tries to find a way to catch up and pass Rob Nash for what would be 8th place. Has Stephen Crutchley got anything left for Sam Fisher and a chance to get on the podium? Shane O'Neill has passed John Foulds. Can he pick up a couple of spots cheaply at the finish? Russell Endine is into the hairpin for the last time. We're looking for Anwar Barrul-Smith. There he is. He's coming through in 6th place. The best he could probably hope for. Shane O'Neill throws one into Stuart Osborne. But wow, it's 2 wins for Russell Endine on a bad day for Anwar Barrul-Smith. Peter Kay is a popular 2nd. Sam Fisher keeps racking up the points with a 2nd and a 3rd to remain quietly under the championship radar with his drop scores. Barrul-Smith hangs on to his championship lead, but what was a 39-point lead coming into Clay Pigeon is only 4 points heading into Wilton Mill ahead of Russell Endine.
And fourth, just missing out, was Stephen Crutchley, but picking up the first of the trophies. In 3rd place, Sam Fisher. He started on pole. 2nd place today. He's, again, not had the greatest of days, this guy, so I'm really pleased with this guy. In 2nd place, started on grid 5, Peter Kay. But today's winner, he bagged the first final as well. He's had a great day to do the double. Started on grid 4, so he had a little bit of work to do early on, but today's winner, once again, of final 2, Russell Endine. Excellent. All right, thank you very much, guys. Thanks for your help in the pits. And we'll see you at the next round, which I think is Wilson Mill.